What's up, guys? My name is JC Kroupa, and this is Father Help Us, the show where only God knows what's next. I'm standing for this episode because I am in a new apartment and I have no furniture yet. So we'll see if I like that or not. Maybe that'll be a mainstay here on the podcast. Unless you guys hate it, let me know. But yeah, that's the thing today. I should probably start off by apologizing. And dude, I was supposed to it's funny, I was thinking about going weekly for the podcast, and I literally went from weekly to basically not even doing it at all. And so hopefully I'm back now regularly. Living situation has just kind of been weird because I moved back from LA. We got a lot to talk about today. Real action-packed episode, but I wanted to start off by telling everyone and letting everyone know that I'm not MAGA. Which if you're MAGA, fine, like do your thing. I'm not. So a while back, I went on a B-list reality dating show on YouTube, which was a lot of fun. The whole process was super dope. You guys can go look at episode 111 over on the Pop the Balloon YouTube channel if you guys have time. It was so fun. And I mean, I did it so long ago. I remember thinking, like, I don't know if I have any like clip-worthy moments or anything. Not that that's the reason like I was going to do it or anything, but and then it came out, and for like the first 2 days, I'm like fighting off people in the comment section of my Instagram, in my DMs, like asking me if I'm a Trump supporter and if I'm MAGA. And if you watched the podcast before, obviously you very much know that I am not MAGA in any sort of way. So essentially what happened was one of the girls said she was super against guns. And I wouldn't say I'm like Mr. Second Amendment, but I think, it's the Second Amendment for a reason. You should, have the right to bear arms. And as I get older, think about having a wife and kids, like I want to have a gun. I'm thinking about taking up backpacking because I love camping and fishing. And so I definitely want to have a gun when I go out into the wilderness. So she's like, I'm super against guns. So I pop her balloon. I'm like, yeah, I'm probably just a bit more like right-leaning than you are, or rights. I can't even remember how I phrased it. And dude, people actually lost their minds, which is insane. Because even if I was MAGA, like, it's none of your business. And there are lots of Black people who are MAGA. And if you're one of them, cool for you. I am not, personally, for plenty of reasons that, and some of them I've talked about on this podcast. But dude, it was so fun going on that show. And if you're here from watching that show, I appreciate you. Stick around. It's great over here on this side. But that was cool. So that came out, and it's been fun being back home in Phoenix. So essentially what happened is I was out in LA. I was knocking doors for pest control, having time of my life. And one day I just remember thinking, like, dude, I'm working so hard. I'm working overtime. Really trying to like make a ton of money. And best case scenario, I'm going to be rich for like 8 months, because the way they do it is after the summer, that's when they pay you the bulk of your the money that they owe you is how the company's structured. And I was like, if I'm going to be like working this hard, like I would love it to be for something that like I'm building myself. So long story less long, I got this crazy idea when I was on the doors of like, what if I like offered like detailing, like car washes? I could do exterior, I could do interior. And I asked a couple people about it actually when I was in LA, and I was like, look, like obviously you don't want to buy pest control from me, but like, what if I did this? What if I came to your door and offered to wash your car? And they were like, yeah, that'd be something I'm super interested in. So that was like really cool to like test it out. And it's like the only business idea I've had that almost universally all my friends are like, okay, that's a genius. That's a really good business idea. So I impulsively quit my job, came back to Phoenix to start that up, because I mean, it's the most natural place to start a business like that. It like never rains here. I can knock year round. Today was 112, so that was tough. But in the winter, like it only gets down to like 45 or so. So it was just kind of the perfect storm of things, and which is really funny because I threw a whole going away party and everything, and whatever. I'm a loser. I can do what I want with my life. if you guys are invested at this point, if you're coming back to watch the podcast, but so yeah, came back to Arizona, started up my business, and I'm doing that full time. So if you are in the Phoenix, Arizona greater area, and you want your car washed or the inside detailed, let me know. I do subscriptions too, so I'll automatically come to your house, clean your car or wash your car. And dude, it's been so fun. There's so much that goes into like owning your own business. Like some days I'm like, this is the greatest idea I've literally ever had. And then other days I literally want to pull my hair out. And there's a lot there's a lot of days of both, if that makes sense. So just pray for me, guys. And if you're in the area, support, hit me a DM. I'll come through. We'll chop it up. I'll get your car looking clean and pretty. But yeah, so I'm back home in Arizona, and it's been cool. Like I didn't realize how much I loved Arizona and my friends here until I kind of went away to LA. And my buddy Michael is so stoked that I'm back. And I've just been hanging out with a ton of friends that miss me. And life is too short to get caught up in what other people think. And I had some dude like message me that was like, dude, I thought you were gonna make 100K with the company you're going out for, from like a previous company that I worked for. And I'm like, dude, like what a like weird thing to say and shoot me in my DM. Obviously I saw a greater possibility of achieving my dreams by leaving. And I had a good experience at company's called Onyx Pest Control in Orange County. They're really, really good guys. I have nothing but good things to say about them. So yeah, it was great, dude. I was gonna graduate in October, pushing that back to spring just because I've been so stressed. And I figured, dude, knocking doors and also doing school. Oh my goodness. I remember I went to my residency. Oh, dude, I actually have to tell you guys a story. So I was knocking doors in LA and I had to come back here to Phoenix for a week. This was before I decided to move back for something called a residency. All a residency is essentially it's like a week of schooling physically because I do my degree online, but you have to come back for 3 residencies. And this was my second one that I was getting ready to do in May. It's like first week in May. And so, I got it marked on my calendar, got my plane ticket, everything, gearing up for it. And, I'm going to leave my car at the apartment I'm staying at in LA. And one of my coworkers, he's like, dude, I'll take you to the airport. The airport's like 12 minutes away. So I'm like, bet. So I pack my stuff. I'm waiting for this kid. He's like 18 years old, like fresh out of high school, something like that. And he's late, which, you know, I wasn't too upset because, it's only 12 minutes away, but he's there past the time that he said. So I'm starting to feel a little weird. I think it's later and later and later until we're cutting it real, real close. So I'm kind of annoyed, but if, essentially he pulls up and he's like, hey man, sorry, I've been dealing with some stuff. I'm like, no worries, bro. Let's hit it. Let's go. So we're friggin' zooming to the airport and he looks over at me and he's like, I got my girlfriend pregnant. Now, this kid's like just graduated high school, like wide-eyed, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, all that. And he's like, I don't know if we're going to keep it. Cause I tell him congrats. I'm like, dude, you're gonna be a dad. He's like, I don't know if we're going to keep the child. And I'm like, oh, he's like, what do you think? Or no, he didn't say what do I think? He's like, yeah, man, it's crazy. And so I'm trying to figure out what to say to this guy because one, I don't want to like overstep my bounds and be like, you should do this or that. And the other side of me is like, I have a very strong opinion on this. Should I tell him? So I'm like so stressed out. He finally drops me off. We talk a little bit. I'm walking into the airport thinking like, okay, did I make the wrong decision in terms of what I said to this guy? So now I'm stressed out because I think maybe I did the wrong thing. And I'm annoyed because I'm running late. And this is my only time that I have ever flown with, I think it was like Sun Airlines or something like that. It was the airline that runs in the alternative airport, the Mesa Airport out here in Arizona. If you were from Arizona, you know what I'm talking about. I think it was like Sun Airlines or something like that. And so I walk in, I'm going to like check into the electronic kiosk, and they're the only airline that doesn't have electronic kiosks. And I like checked in for my flight hours ago. Like I did all the right things. I literally just have one bag that I need to drop off. Um, so I'm waiting in this line, and the line is massive. And I, so we get closer and closer and closer. I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, we're kind of cutting it close, but I still got like an hour till like the flight leaves. Cutting close, close, close. And the lady at the front is just talking to like this Hispanic couple for like a hot minute, which is like fine, like figure it out, take your time. And then finally another lady comes over, line starts moving again, frees everything up. And then I finally get to the end of the line. And I talk to the lady, I'm like, hey, checking in for this flight, already checked in. And she's like, this counter's closed. And I'm okay. So she tells me the counter's closed, and I stare at her blankly, and I ask her, what do you mean? Because obviously I'm looking right at you. So it's obviously not closed because we're speaking right now about my flight. You're talking about your computer. She's like, yeah, like bag checks after a certain amount of time, like we just don't do them. And I'm like, I know you can. So here's my issue with the airport. I mean, I have a lot of issues with the airport, but 80% of the rules at the airport are just made up, and they can bend them to their will. Like it's actually insane. Like none of this is like or a lot of it's not like federally regulated or anything like that. It's just the policy of the airline, and they can kind of bend it to their will. So I look at this girl and I'm like, what do you expect me to do? And she's like, give me 1 second. And she goes talk to the other lady who's like her supervisor. And she's like, hey, can we check his bag? And she's like, what is it, just one? And she's like, yeah. She's like, yeah, it's fine. Of course it's fine because it's one bag. All they have to do is open the latch and put one more bag in there. Like oh, dude. So she comes back over, and I'm trying to like keep my cool because it's one of the scenarios where you're trying to toe the line between not being a complete a-hole and then also trying to be assertive and let them know like they need to do what you're saying. So she's like, okay, we can take the bag. And in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, I knew you could take the bag. But I'm like, thank you so much for helping me. So now I'm trying to make my flight. I'm like speed walking to the gate. I get in line. I'm running. Like they let me through because I'm obviously not a terrorist. And so I get on my flight. They took care of my bag. I have like these big overhead earphones that I'm about to put on because I'm about to listen to my audiobook. And here comes the best part of the story, man. So I have the overhead earphones like right around my neck, and I plop down in my seat, and I grab my phone from my pocket, and I start gliding over to this audiobook that I really want to listen to. I just started reading the Red Rising series, and it is amazing. Shout out my buddy Tristan for putting me on. And so whatever book I'm at, like at that point, I'm like so excited to kind of like catch up and see where I'm at in the series. And this man starts talking to me. So I sit down, buckle my seat, scrolling through my phone, about to just lock into this audiobook for this. I think it's like an hour 15 flight, like if that. And this guy looks over at me and says, yeah, man, I've been in San Francisco pretty much my whole life, dude. Like we had already been having the conversation. I've never met this guy before in my life. So I look over at this guy, older black gentleman. He's got like shades on, super interesting character, like not a snapback, but kind of like a hat like this. And I'm like, oh yeah. So then he just starts talking and yapping. And eventually he's like, yeah, man. So like, why are you going to Phoenix? And I'm like, oh yeah, man, I'm just in my master's program. I'm going back to do a residency right now. He's like, oh, what are you studying? I'm like, divinity. He's like, what's divinity? I'm like, it's a pastor's degree. So now he wants to ask me all the God questions. And I can't say no or be rude to God questions. Otherwise it's like instant hell. I don't think that's in the Bible, but just my gut feeling. And so he starts asking me all these questions. And then he's like, I heard the Bible's been changed, which, if you know anything about me, one thing I'm not going to let you do is believe the Bible's been changed after a conversation with me. So I'm going through Tertullian Canon and Nicene Creed and Council of Trent and the Apocrypha, like all these things that kind of go into it. Talking about the Gospel of Thomas, the Book of Enoch, like giving this guy a history lesson. So now I'm invested. And I don't know. I realize I don't know this guy's name. And so I say, hey man, my name's JC, by the way. Like, I don't think I caught your name. I kid you not. He looks at me and he says, oh, I'm Danny Diamonds. Like he's a pimp, you know? Um, and I go, oh, okay. Just swallowing that. Like, I definitely not your real name, but that's what he told me his name was. And so we keep talking and keep talking, keep talking. And so we're talking like for most of the flight. And so we get like halfway through, and he starts talking about dating. This is like an older guy. So I ask him, I'm like, dude, like, how old are you? And he's like, oh, I'm 72. I'm like, dang, man, you look good for 72. He said, oh, thanks. No homo. Dude, black guys love spamming no homo, or pause. Uh, I say pause so much because I just think it's so funny. So, first off, saying no homo is way more homo than just letting whatever you said rock, you know? And pause doesn't make it better. Like, if you say something gay, just ignore it. And then the person who accuses you of being gay is just trying to project on you. The fact that you have to say no homo means that there might be a little bit of homo on the inside, you know? Um, so I'll never forget Danny Diamonds. And we get through most of the flight. And then he looks out the window and I swear just like goes to sleep, which I'm super confused about because most of the flight's over. I thought we were just going to talk throughout the entire flight. So I'm like, okay, like I pull my earphones on. I start listening to my audiobook for a bit. We probably have like 20 minutes left. We haven't even landed yet. We haven't even began our, when did we began our descent? We're like, there's so many steps in terms of like getting off this plane. And he taps me when I'm listening to my audiobook and I'm like, oh, like I wonder what he needs. So I'm like, yeah, what's up, man? He's like, hey man, it was good talking to you. Bro, here's my issue with people. No one has any sort of emotional intelligence anymore, like at all. No one can read a room. No one can read facial expressions. Everybody's just functionally autistic at this point, which, love people with autism. My nephew has autism. One of my best friends out here in Arizona has autism. I might be a little autistic. But everyone like it, it is, it kind of reminds me of like me being on the freaking Pop the Balloon show and just how easy it should be to give like good, emotionally intelligent answers. But for some reason, no one knows themselves and they don't know how to interact with human beings and they don't know how to react to being filmed. And it's just like this big amalgamation of things that people aren't used to or good at, which is why, they get so many clips. And Danny Diamonds was definitely one of those people. So, Danny, if you're watching this, it was a good talk, man, and I appreciate you. But yeah, so I end up going and finishing my residency, and dude, it was fun, man. They like feed us, they take care of us when we're there. It's a good time for sure. I was thinking about starting my PhD program or a doctorate program when I finish my master's. And I was thinking about going to a school out east to get maybe a PhD. And then GCU's like, we're actually going to offer a doctorate program and it's not as long and it's way cheaper. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just do that. And so I reach out to my guidance counselor. I'm like, hey, I would love some info on the doctorate of ministry program at GCU. And she's like, okay, like that's not like my area, but like I'll have somebody reach out to you. And I'm like, cool. So this lady texts me from, I don't know if it's like from a business line or she's sending messages to my phone. And so I ask her a couple like super basic questions about the program. And I'm like, yeah, like, so I heard it's this long. What's the cost of attendance? What scholarships are offered to me as, GCU students who's done this undergrad and graduate program through school. And she says, IDK, exclamation point. I'll get that info to you soon. If you didn't have the info to begin with, then why'd you reach out to me? So I text her back and I say, oh, I thought the program started in January because it does. It's what I heard in my residency. And she says, yes, it does. We just haven't been trained on it. I think what really irritates me is just people being unprepared, especially in like a area of expertise or something like they're in control of and that you should have a handle on. Like, I guess a better way of saying it would be just like a lack of resourcefulness. Like, I shouldn't like when dude, all the time when I sold pest control, my customers would text me the most stupid questions all the time, dude. Like, they see one ant in their yard and be like, "Is this normal?" I had a lady text me a few weeks ago, and she sent me a video of like a dying rat in her yard, and she was like, "What should I do?" What do you mean, what should you do? Just let it die and then throw it out when it's dead. And so I mean, I was nicer to that, and I'm really a mean person, guys, and I need to work on that, but the good thing is, like, I'm nice in real life. You guys get the real me on the podcast. Father help me. And, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, just, looks like it's in its, death throes and it probably just got some of the bait we put out. Yeah, just wait till it dies and then, take a plastic bag or some gloves or whatever, tie it up and throw them out." She's like, "Oh, thanks." But it's like, w why when people depend upon you to be their encyclopedia or problem solver, like, that's stuff, like, I expect, like, my girlfriend, if I had one to ask, like, "How do I do this? Can you do that for me?" Because it's like, there's something charming in the idea of, like, your girl turning her brain off a bit because she feels so safe around you and she becomes childlike, and I had a really interesting conversation about this actually with a couple buddies of mine, and, especially, like, high performing males in, like, sales and the military, like, guys that, work really, really, really hard, for, like, their income. They lose part of the child in them to get to the point of where they are, and so the person that they pick to be their significant other actually exudes that quality that they lost, but it's that same childlike quality that drives them crazy. Um, which is really interesting when you think about it, because in my mind, like, to get to where I'm at, and it's not like I made it or anything like that. Like, I just started this business, just starting to get a consistent cash flow. So believe me, I am not not a rich man, but I've done a lot. I've accomplished a lot for myself. I came out here to Arizona and I built a life. Um, I had to kind of become like a monster in many ways and kill a lot of the naivety in me. Um, and be a little bit more mean spirited to face this harsh world and accomplish and become that kind of hunter gatherer. Whereas, I've noticed that at least in my adulthood, the women that I gravitate toward are softer and gentler and have an innocence and naivety about them, almost like sometimes like a ditziness that I can't afford to have, but I find it very charming. And it's the same thing that when I'm in a relationship, I find so annoying because I'm like, why can't this person just be like me? And it's like, oh, because I don't want a person that's just like me. You know, Opposites attract. I believe that. So like my mom and dad were so polar opposite. My mom, little 5'2" black lady, dad 6'4" Viking. Everybody thinks I have a white mom because I don't speak in slang, uh, which is a whole other thing. And they were obviously very physically different, but they had different backgrounds. They saw the world differently. My dad was a staunch Republican growing up. My mom was a Democrat. My mom came from like a Baptist church background. My dad from a Lutheran background. Um, my mom went to college. My dad did not. Like they just had a bunch of things not in common. And I mean, they were great. I mean, I don't know every aspect of their marriage, but I mean, they were together 25-ish years or something like that before my mom passed. And when it comes to relationships, which believe me, this is not a relationship podcast. I feel like every person my age with a microphone just wants to sit and talk about relationships. And sorry, that'll never be me. Only time I'll talk about my dating is if I have a actual official steady going girlfriend, and then I'll embarrass her with funny stories. But um I think like you got to have somebody that evens you out. So it's like that gray area of you want somebody that is compatible, like same religion, same vision, goal, like how do you want to raise a family, like very like core things that are important, chemistry, sense of humor, things like that. But then you want somebody that's different from you, that's going to push you to see the world in a different way, that's going to broaden and expand your horizons to be a great, amazing, awesome person, or the best of your the best of your potential. Don't know why I can't talk today. I need some water. um it's been a while since I did this, guys. Wow, I gotta get back in the flow, back in the zone. um But yeah, man. So that's my dating advice for you guys today. Um, so I I was talking to a buddy recently, and we were talking about our favorite fictional characters of all time. Because right now I'm reading Red Rising, which if you've never read Red Rising and you love fiction or sci-fi or fantasy or anything like that, please do yourself a favor and pick it up. My buddy was telling me forever to hop on the train, and I waited and waited and waited, and I wish I would have started sooner. So there's one is the first trilogy number one, which I just finished, and then there's the second trilogy, which I just started, and then the seventh book to kind of like capstone all six books is coming out sometime next year. And so I'm on book number four of six that are out right now, seven eventually. And the main character has already become one of my favorite characters. So I thought that I would give you guys, excuse me, my top five favorite characters or fictional characters of all time today. So I created a list here. And then after that, we'll do top five worst just for fun. We'll start from number five and kind of work our way up. But at number five, top five fictional character for me is going to be Simba from The Lion King. Simba's arc in The Lion King is so amazing because you see him as a cub who blames himself for his father's death, and he's living in shame and anxiety until he meets Timon and Pumbaa, excuse me. And then he's living like in this tropical oasis where Hakuna Matata is literally his mantra. And he's not worried about any of the things he did in the past, any of his responsibilities or duties or anything, because he's pushing the trauma down of what happened to his father and his family and not wanting to face that. And then Nala comes in and convinces him, as well as like the spirit of his father, I guess, to face his fears and take accountability. And it's this perfect, beautiful, like full circle moment where he gets back to Pride Rock and he realizes like he was just a cub and Scar's about to like, kill him. And then Simba gets like angry and like pops up and jumps on him, which is fire. Um, Lion King's my all time favorite movie. And that scene in at the end where it starts raining because Simba's king again. So it like signifies and symbolizes the fact that everything is right in the world again. And he walks and ascends to the top of Pride Rock and he starts roaring. I get goosebumps every single time. I love me some Simba. I even like the live action, like CGI version of him in the remakes that they made too. He was a little ridiculous in The Lion King too, but I think that was a straight to video movie, so I don't think that really counts. But yeah, so I got Simba at number five. At number four, I have Superman. Superman is my fourth favorite fictional character of all time because he is literally the epitome of good. He's like literally the archetype of like what a hero is. He can do anything. He is good incarnate. He's got really cool superpowers. He's all about truth and justice. He is literally, uh, red, white, and blue, like very like American, like branded, and he's just like the archetype superhero. Like his Kryptonian heritage, I always thought was so cool. His backstory, how he came here, was raised in Kansas, and he literally always just wants to do the right thing. And I love Man of Steel. I love that darker take on him, but I also love um, the previous Superman that we got last year because I thought that was such a faithful rendition of who that character is. Like Clark Kent is like the guy who's like saving squirrels and cats out of trees and sees the good in everybody. Like there's that scene in Superman where he's giving this big speech to Lex Luthor and he's talking about how he even believes in Lex Luthor and it pans over to Lex looking at him and he looks like absolutely disgusted, which is hilarious because it's like Superman is so good that it makes Lex Luthor cringe. And I just love Superman. He's awesome. At the 3 spot, third favorite fictional character of all time, I have Darrow of Lycos. He is the main character of the Red Rising series, and his feats are actually insane. He is an iron gold through and through. Um, Dude, just the complexity of the character, how, he's not just this OP character that can do anything. Like he's got crazy feats that he does, but he's also a very flawed character too, which I really like. And so he makes wrong and bad decisions a lot. And it ends up getting people in trouble. Ends up getting people killed. It ends up personally affecting him. But he's honestly just trying to do the right thing, even if his idea of what the right thing is not always correct. And he's just such a complex, multifaceted, multi-layered character. And I'm excited to continue to read his story as I kind of finish Iron Gold here. And I hear the story gets even more complex and interesting the farther that you go on. So super excited for that. But Darrow is at my 3 spot. At my number 2 spot, we got Spider-Man. Spider-Man has been my favorite superhero since I was a kid. I just always identified with him so much because I got bullied growing up. I used to read comics and watch the cartoons of Spider-Man, getting like bullied in school, being Peter Parker, and then always deciding to do the right thing and to take the high road and to be humble and be Spider-Man, even when he wasn't going to get credit for it. He wasn't going to get money for it. Like he's literally trying to make everything work, delivering newspapers, taking pictures, whatever he can to kind of get by, go to college, make an honest living. And all trying to do all that and trying to save everybody at the same time. And I identify with that so much. And Peter Parker, like his rogue gallery, like his villains are so interesting. He's got so many incredible like comic storylines. The movies are iconic. The characters that they've had play him or the actors that they have had play him have actually all done a great job in their own right. Andrew Garfield is actually my favorite rendition of Spider-Man. And Spider-Man is my second favorite fictional character of all time. My favorite fictional character of all time is Percy Jackson. I picked up Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief, when I was like 10. And I just soared through all those books. And just he's such a fun character because the way he describes himself is like clumsy and goofy and he doesn't take himself too serious. And then when you read further into there's like a follow-up series about that where you get other people's point of views. Like there's literally a character who sees Percy for the first time and they're like, they thought he was a god when they looked at him. Like his feats are insane. Like he soloed Ares, the god of war, in hand-to-hand combat when he was 11 years old. Like it's insane the stuff he's doing. He literally held up the world like Atlas did for a few minutes. Like that's canon. That's in the books. Like Percy Jackson is so OP. Like it's actually insane. But I love it because he's funny, doesn't take himself serious. I just fell in love with that character and the characters around him, like Annabeth. I've always loved that name because of the books. I always thought it'd be cool to maybe my daughter's middle name would be Annabeth or something like that. Um, Grover, like even the characters in the second series, like Jason and Hazel and Leo and all these other characters, and that series means so much to me. That was kind of like my Harry Potter growing up, and Percy Jackson is he's always going to have a special place in my heart. So those are my top 5 favorite fictional characters of all time: Simba, Superman, Darrow, Spider-Man, and Percy Jackson. Now I want to do the worst fictional characters of all time. At the number 5 spot, we have Hyde from That 70s Show. I don't know how many of you have seen That 70s Show. It was a big deal in Wisconsin because it was supposedly set in Wisconsin. My sister watched it. My big sister watched it a ton growing up. And then I kind of watched it after the fact. And it is one of the greatest shows of all time. Hyde is supposed to be the main character, Eric's friend, and he treats him like crap. Like Hyde is literally like homeless at one point. He is taken under the roof of Eric and his family, and repeatedly he just like says the worst possible things to Eric. He's a bad friend to Eric. He tries to steal Eric's girl away several times. He's always getting them into trouble, never taking any sort of accountability, and there's never like really any meaningful arc in his story at all. Hyde is literally just a terrible character. So I have him as the 5th worst fictional character of all time. At the number 4 spot, worst fictional character of all time, we have the Sultan from Aladdin. Aladdin was one of my favorite movies growing up. I think my first crush might have been Princess Jasmine, and her father, the Sultan, is an idiot. He's the biggest idiot of all time. He's so gullible. He literally is tricked into every situation. He does nothing throughout the entire movie until the very end when Aladdin has done all the work anyway. He's just literally a bumbling idiot who is easily manipulated and has no role in the story other than to be like, oh, Jasmine is a princess because her dad is a king. Like he's every time he was on screen, I'm like, this guy's a freaking idiot. Get him out of my face. That's number 4. Number 3 worst character of all time is Dale from the show From. That guy sucks. He literally has never said anything nice to anyone. He said the most vile thing to what's his name? Boyd's son. He is always complaining. He never wants to do anything to help anyone. And then I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it because the recent series just came out. But what ends up happening with this guy is, he dies. Sorry, spoiler alert. I guess it's not a spoiler alert because I just spoiled it. He ends up dying, and I did not feel any regret at all. And they're trying to make it like sad, and he had his own way of showing love. It's like, no, bro. Like, I'm so glad you killed that character off. Dale from sucks, dude. Dale from is your racist uncle, but a bit more alcoholism and a bigger beer belly. At the number 2 spot, worst character or fictional character of all time, which I guess all characters are fictional in a sense. Gabriella, specifically in High School Musical 2. Now, my boy Troy in this movie is trying to work a summer job to save up and have money because his parents aren't going to give him everything. He's trying to get noticed by basketball scouts, and he's trying to maintain a relationship with his girlfriend, Gabriella. And Gabriella gives him absolutely no grace through this entire movie. Like, he's, going to dinners, like with scouts. He's trying to basically get a full ride to play college ball because this 5'8" little point guard is just that nice with it. And so he's like running late to dates, but he's like apologizing for it, making up. He's still showing up. He's like planning stuff, rescheduling stuff. He's very like, obviously trying to make some sort of effort here. And the entire time, Gabriella is just like, oh, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. And then she starts gaslighting him into him thinking he's the problem when he's not. And she sings this great song, Gotta Go My Own Way, one of my favorite songs of all time. But it makes no sense. Like, and then she's caught like flirting with the guy and Troy kind of gets a little defensive, and then she gaslights him again. Dude, she sucks in that movie. Please, if you haven't seen High School Musical 2 in a while, go back and watch it. Gabriella sucks. Obviously, still ship their relationship in the story, and it gets better in High School Musical 3. But in High School Musical 2 specifically, Gabriella can kick rocks. And that leaves me with the worst fictional character of all time. The worst fictional character of all time is Cooper from Interstellar. Now, Cooper has 2 kids and only cares and talks about one. There's even a scene where he goes off into space and his son is very much dealing with the fact that his father is gone. He's not dealing with it well. If you've seen the movie, like he's going through it to the point where his sister is like trying to like pull him out of this funk that he's been in. And the entire time, Matthew McConaughey's character Cooper is like, oh, my little girl, I got to get back to my little girl. I got to see my little girl. When I talk to people about this, they literally forget the fact that he has a son in the movie because he's such a crappy father and character. And when I watch it, I don't feel bad for him at all. Like, the whole scene in the library where he's like crying, like, sure, yeah, like it's emotional or whatever, but also like you shouldn't have left. It's also never established in the movie what he gets for leaving other than like helping out humanity. But it never says like, hey, like in return, NASA is going to like take care of your kids, put them in the best school, like take care of the mortgage for, your father. Like they're going to be set up. Like none of that's established. And he's like, I'll probably be gone for a few years. I'm going to try to get back as soon as possible. Even though the guy that tells him he's going on the mission is like, bro, you might be gone for like hundreds of years, like theoretically. And he's like, I'm going to take that chance. So I don't really feel that bad for him. Really, really bad character. So those are my top 5 favorite and top 5 least favorite fictional characters of all time. I appreciate you guys so much. I am kind of experimenting with the idea of doing 30 to 45 minute podcasts now instead of going the full hour. And we're going to see how that does. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure that you follow us on Instagram at Father Help Us Podcast. Make sure you smash that like and subscribe button. I will be back in 2 weeks. We're back to rolling, baby. Thank you guys for watching. And remember, Father Help Us. See you guys soon. Peace.